Alright, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Usually, on days like this, it's Friday, we would say, it's the freaking weekend, baby! And then we would do the clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Alright, we tuned in this morning. We tried to go live, but the location that I'm at, for some reason, every time we go live, the sound cuts out. So this morning was no different. We lost the sound with like 300 and something people at the beginning of the live, looking like it was going to be a festive live because the three topics were festive this morning and I was ready. But the computer and all that other stuff. Anyways, no long talking. The three topics on this video right here, which are the three topics we would have discussed if we went live, were: one, is Elaine Thompson-Herah done? Elaine Thompson-Herah recently raced, came dead last again, and also was carried off the track as if she could not make it off the track herself. Is Elaine Thompson-Herah done? The other one is Lady Saw put out a cryptic message which implies that she is now thinking about or is about to step away from ministry, step away from the church, and re-enter dance hall completely. Many said they saw this coming a long time ago. What are your thoughts on that? And then, of course, today is the big day. Today is the day when it all comes to an end. Today we will know if Vybz Kartel and the rest of the guys will be acquitted, or which means their case will be completely thrown out and they will be released from prison after 12 years behind bars, or we will know if there will be a retrial that will be granted and they will have to go through the trial process all over again. Each one of these stories very interesting, but we have a lot of information on the Vybz Kartel case in particular. Remember, what you're going to hear today will be the final decision. The final decision as of the 14th of the 6th today will be made today. So you're hearing this before the final decision, and I say this because I want you to listen to this, and then I want you to also watch my prediction to see if my prediction is true. And of course, later on, I'm going to say, SouFlo, how you didn't know that already? Well, I'll tell you again later how it's not hard to tell, because certain people are just that predictable. Let's start out with, say, the first one and get the frivolous ones out the way first, right? Big concern of mine, Lady Saw. Lady Saw, following her exit from dancehall and subsequent career as a Christian minister, Minister Marian Hall, formerly known as Lady Saw, the queen of dancehall, she had a lot of people talking recently when she put a message up on social media. The message on social media said this: I'm about to make some of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, which may take me back to a place where I would never dream of going back, but seems to be heading back there. From this moment on, I know that many will curse me out and said they've predicted it, but what can I say? Sometimes you just don't have any fight left. Please do not call my phone or send me any emails trying to find out what's happening with me, cause not much true love is out there for me. Anyways, may God help us all in these times. Now, if you watch the words, this kind of, this is Lady Saw playing with social media? Is Lady Saw become one of those artists who, yes, I'm over here on the Christian side, but I know a lot of people want to see me back on the secular side kind of thing, but I will play with that for publicity and then I'll release my clean music using that publicity to drive it? Is she still figuring out how to use the machine to her advantage? Or is she really fed up with Christian life and heading back to her space where she probably feels more comfortable, which is in dance hall, which is in the position she was in before? Now, albeit if she comes back to dance hall, I believe that there will be a lot of people who will immediately give her the crown as she walks back in. I don't think Lady Saw has to do much to regain the Queen of Dancehall crown, simply because, yes, Spice has it. Yes, Spice has put in a lot of work, but Lady Saw came before Spice, and there are a lot of people who still hold Lady Saw as the Queen of Dancehall. They keep trying to give her the crown, and she keep trying to say, no, no, don't call me that. It's Minister Marian Hall. I don't want to go back there. I'm not, so her audience is pulling her back there. And her audience is a lot of people, right? Whether she wants it to be or not. I think Lady Saw made a decision where she thought she was going to be able to take a lot of people from dancehall that are her followers and convert them over to her Christian walk as well. And I don't think it went that way at all. Let's be honest. If the money was pouring in, like how the money was pouring in when she was in dancehall music, she would not be in a place where she is contemplating going back to a place she never thought she would ever go back to. Now, let's be honest with all of each other. Everybody out here wants to be able to survive. It's the basic things in life. You need to keep a roof over your head. You need to be able to pay your bills without suffering. And you need to be able to sustain your lifestyle. Some people live beyond their means, but if you're living a normal life, you drive a nice car, you like wearing decent clothes. It doesn't have to be expensive and name brand. A $10 pair of pants will do instead of a $150 pair of pants. You keep it basic, but you still can't afford it. That's called suffering. And nobody likes to suffer if they have a way out. So I think with Lady Saw, with all the lawsuit going on, they just decided in the courts in Jamaica, all against her. She has to pay up a whole bunch of money. Then she loses her property. Then they want the land and all other kind of something. I think the legal woes of this all is having Lady Saw really look at her life and assess her life and say to herself, man, if I was in dance hall, I would be making so much money still. This, I would have been paid this off, get this out the way and keep it moving. But I'm not earning that kind of income anymore. So I'm stuck where I'm stuck at. The last thing I'm going to say about Lady Saw is this. Where did you get your talent from? Because the devil never gave you your talent. Your talent came from the Most High, the Almighty Creator, right? And so, why can't you not use your talent in dancehall? Dancehall does not have to be slack. It does not have to be derogatory. It does not have to be nasty and dirty. Maybe you are that light that was supposed to remain in dancehall. You can make beautiful songs. You can make songs about love. You can make songs about joy. You can make songs about the struggles of life. You can make songs about struggling and getting to an uplifting place. You can make songs about keeping faith. You can make all these good songs. It doesn't have to be about if the man leave, I know my pussy fault. The only fault my pussy have if it chip the odra. It doesn't have to be those kind of lyrics. You can still, in my opinion, you can still be in dancehall and still be Christian. You don't have to go to the after parties. You don't have to bust it wide open. The skirts you can still sexy up yourself even then, right? Without even being revealing. I don't know. End of the day, the question on the Lady Saw thing is, do you think that Lady Saw has a place in dancehall still? Do you think that if she leaves church and comes back to dancehall, do you think that she will be accepted by a large number of people in dancehall? And do you think that the decision would benefit her well? I said this before, I'm going to say it again. Everybody has their life to live. And life is a journey. And sometimes you take a left turn and you figure out, boy, it wasn't the left. I should have went right. You know, life is about trial and errors, man. None of us were born with all the answers. So you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to mess up relationships. As you get older, you learn. And then, of course, some of it leaves you with regrets. I know the Christian church is going to come for her hard, though. You backslide. You backslide. You gone back go work for the devil. You gone back go sing for Satan. Hallelujah. God is sending an angel. You know, them are going to go into all that stuff. And Lady Saw is going to have to fight with all that as well. That's her fight to fight. End of the day, I've always been a big Lady Saw fan, and I believe that she has a space in dancehall. And if she says, you know, put that church thing to the side, I say, come use your talent that God gave you in dancehall, because there's a space there for you too. Tell me if I'm wrong or I'm right on that decision. All right, moving right along now. The next one that concerns me deeply, of course, is Elaine Thompson-Herah. Elaine Thompson-Herah. I want everybody to understand that Elaine Thompson-Herah, what she did at the previous Olympics, unifying gold in the 100 and 200 meters, it has never been done since that woman they call Flojo. You understand? Who represented the United States of America. So it was that historic. Now, Elaine Thompson-Herah is the person who I'm thinking was going to be that big surprise out the box, and suddenly Elaine Thompson-Herah has a late start in 2024 track and field season, and her first race she ran, she came in dead last, and then her second race she ran, she came in dead last again. Now, this time, Elaine Thompson-Herah not only came in dead last, but she was carried off the track. Oh, man. And I know that injuries can be an issue, but I am concerned about Elaine's issue. I'm concerned about her injury because this is, if you follow Elaine Thompson-Herah like I do, you will know that she's been nursing this same ailment for quite some time. Now, usually in athletics or in the professional athletic world, even in high school or college athletics, if you have an injury that lasts for years, that's probably the injury that's going to determine how far you will go in that sport. Maybe Elaine has already done the greatness that she came to do. Maybe she is just an overachiever. Maybe she did it so young. We wanted more out of her. We want her to break Flojo's record. We want to have that Jamaican woman at the top of everything. So when people speak of the 100 meters and the 200 meters, a Jamaican face pops up. We thought Elaine was going to be the one to do it for us at this Olympics, and it doesn't look like it's going to be her. Now, according to Yard Hype, following her race on Sunday, during which she seemingly suffered an injury, Jamaican Olympian Elaine Thompson-Herah has shared that she is now seeking professional advice before moving forward. That means she's going to have to go sit down with a team of doctors, specialists who are going to do their x-rays, massage, palpate, touch here, touch there, flex this, do that, and then give her a decision. Hey, you're out for the season. If you run anymore, you're going to tear this, you're going to mess up that, you're going to mess up this, which will cause you long-term injuries, or they're probably going to tell her something else. But whatever the case may be, I'm concerned about what she is going through now. Elaine Thompson-Herah was one of several athletes who participated in the World Continental Tour Gold 100-meter meet in New York City. After finishing dead last in the race, she began showing signs of an injury and she had to be carried out of the stadium. After the race, she shared on her Instagram page that she began feeling discomfort during the race, and the pain became worse as she pushed herself to continue. I felt something uncomfortable as I began to push. I still tried to go, but it got worse. So I am awaiting some professional advice before moving forward. Now, Elaine has been a professional athlete for quite some time, and these professional athletes, they are trained to listen to their bodies. You know sometimes what you can work through, you know what your limits are. If that pain get too intense during acceleration, you know to decelerate and stop before you tear up something, etc., etc. So she's listening to her body, right? She received an outpour of support in response to her message. Dancehall artist Spice says, "I love you, my sprint queen. Speedy recovery. I support you all the way. Win, lose, or draw." You know, a lot of us are of the same mindset that whatever the case may be and the outcome is, we just hope that Elaine is all right. Of course, we are disappointed because we wanted to see her come out, blaze the track, have us hype before the Olympics. This is an Olympic year. They recently did an interview with Usain Bolt, and they asked the great Usain Bolt, Olympic gold or world title? And Usain looked and frowned and smirked, and he said, Olympic gold, of course, to show you how important an Olympic gold is. The Olympics is where the best of the best, the tried and the proven, have met for quite some time to prove that you are top of the world. You are the best to ever do it. You are running against or competing against every top athlete representing the best out of every country across the world. And this is where it goes down. So to not be able to step out in the manner fully healthy, ready to go and prove that you are who you say you are, that must hurt. And we're disappointed as well. You know, so we send out some good vibrations to Elaine, and we know it's disappointing. We're disappointed, so we can only guess that because it's her career and her life, ultimately. So you can imagine the depths of disappointment that she might be going through as well. I'll put a spin on this before I go on to the Vybz Kartel thing, though. Check it out. What if this is a case where everybody is thrown off and Elaine is just nursing it and just baiting us along, and then she comes out at the Olympics and just tears the friggin' track up, and everybody is on their feet and everybody is like, oh my God, because she is least expected to win, because she's been coming in last in all the races leading up to the Olympics. Remember, she is the defending Olympic champion, so she doesn't have to do a tryout. She only has to do a tryout in Jamaica, I believe, to make it to the Jamaica team, as far as if they want to put her in the 4x100 or 4x200, whatever relays they might have. But as a runner, she is already the defending champion at the Olympics. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the defending champion just has to show up and defend. So, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed, my eyes open, and I hope that it's the latter of what I just said, and we end with a surprise and a bang. Come pot cover them there, you know. Ready for make a whole heap of nice, man. That me I try to tell you. Alright, the big talk of the morning now is the Vybz Kartel case. Will there be a retrial or will there be an acquittal? Man, listen. This Vybz Kartel case is truly something else. And like I said before, this case is changing Jamaica law in many ways. You see the urgent push for Jamaica to become independent completely of the UK and to remove the king as head of state and to remove the Privy Council as our last stop, our highest court. Shortly after the Privy Council overturned, or not overturned, but quashed Vybz Kartel's conviction, making him no longer a convicted felon, who is convicted of murder, but returning him, along with Sean Storm and the others, back to innocent citizens who are now accused. The messed up part is that case was put back in Jamaica for the Court of Appeals in Jamaica to make a decision, and the decision would be if there should be a retrial in the name of seeking justice, or if there should be an acquittal. Now, today we will find out, this Friday we will find out. It is the 14th day of the month, and we will find out today. You see how many times I said that? Because I want everybody to know that that is what decision is coming up soon. Acting DPP tells the court that the breach of Vybz Kartel constitutional rights was justified. Hey, I'm not going to mince my words right here, and I will try not to be derogatory, but let me say this, right? The DPP, Department of Public Prosecution, the head of the Department of Public Prosecution was Paula Llewellyn. Paula Llewellyn, who was the driving force behind Vybz Kartel's conviction and the entire case, which they bludgeoned and blundered, huge blunder with. That is why it went to the Privy Council and came back quashed. They lost it. Right. Paula Llewellyn did not. She said immediately that we will be seeking a retrial. So we knew right away after the verdict was quashed that there would be seeking a retrial. It is up to the Court of Appeals to decide if they will get what they are seeking, right? So Paula has since lost her position at the DPP, and an acting DPP is in place. That acting DPP actually went to court and told the court, the 3-panel judge, that this woman told the judges that Vybz Kartel's constitutional right was breached. She admitted that it was breached, but she also said that breaching his constitutional right was justified. Now, I don't know how else to make you understand what this looks like or means. But in Jamaica right now, they are rewriting and amending and fixing up the Constitution, or preparing to do so. And I think that one of the things that they should write into law is that anytime someone's constitutional rights are breached, that case is automatically thrown out. Otherwise, what the hell do you have the Constitution for? Right. To say that somebody's constitutional, yes, we breached his constitutional rights, but it was justified. That's like saying, yes, he raped that woman, but it was justified. There is no justification for rape, so there should be no justification for the breach of one's constitutional rights. Right, and I know that the analogy is a bit drastic, but it is what it is. Now, Acting Director of Public Prosecution, Claudette Thompson, she told the Court of Appeals that the breach of Kartel's constitutional rights is justified. The senior prosecutor conceded that the length of time that the matter has been before the courts may be inordinate, but she maintains that the breach is reasonable. What? How is breaching someone's constitutional rights reasonable? You know what's funny? It is only poor people or people of the lower class or people who they do not consider to be a part of their fold. Only those people, when their constitutional rights are breached, then it's reasonable. Breach one of those upper class people of Jamaica constitutional rights, and you will see how fast an attorney like Peter Champagne jumps in, points out, my client's constitutional rights were breached, case thrown out, on to the next one. Anyways, and I can't believe that there are many Jamaicans who are supporting this. They see it, they have such deep hatred or dislike for Vybz Kartel, or such deep conditioning, because half of them don't even know why they don't like him, other than what their favorite blogger, vlogger said or something, right? But they don't realize, just like John Clark said, just like I said before John Clark said, this is bigger than Vybz Kartel. This is about us people as Jamaicans and the laws that govern us. You laugh now that Vybz Kartel's constitutional rights are breached, and you have the Director of Public Prosecution, Claudette Thompson, going before the judges to say, yes, we breached his constitutional rights, but it was reasonable. All that is fun and games until it is your constitutional rights being breached and you're the one who is in the hot seat and you don't have enough money and resources like a Vybz Kartel to fight all the way to Privy Council. Anyways, we always keep laughing and laughing until it's time to cry. Then we go from laughing to crying. All right. She says that the breach of the right to a trial in a reasonable time is justified. She made the comments on Thursday in the Court of Appeals as submissions continue as whether Vybz Kartel and the three co-accused should face a retrial. Of course, the state or the DPP wants a retrial. Vybz Kartel and the attorney and the rest of the other attorneys, they are trying to not have a retrial done, and they must all show before the Court of Appeal 3 judges why. Justice McDonald Bishop appeared skeptical of the argument. Now, this is the point right here where I get some hope. Justice McDonald Bishop is one of the judges that are overseeing this whole fiasco. And Justice McDonald Bishop appeared skeptical of the argument, pointing out that the men have already spent almost 13 years in custody. After you breached their constitutional rights, after they fought you all the way to the Privy Council and had their verdict quashed, they have already spent 13 years in custody. And you guys are here asking for a retrial. This must be really serious. You must have your ducks in a row. You must have a super strong case that you truly believe in. This is not, and I want those listening to understand from SouFLoTV, that this case that we hear now, that we will receive the decision on today, this was not an innocent or guilty case. This was a case to decide if there should be a retrial or not. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal says that the prosecution must explain how evidence from the initial murder trial of Vybz Kartel and his co-accused made its way into the public domain. Very interesting. Let me say this, right? That we know how it made its way into the public domain. Since we are not a part of this case, as in we are not a part of counsel, we are not a part of prosecution or defense, and we're not a part of the judges panel, we are commentators or commentors that are watching and giving our 2 cents. I can say this loudly. They were the ones that put it into the public domain. It was all a part of the organized, concerted effort to smear his character as badly as they could. It was all a part of that, and that is why they put all that information out into the public. Let's not forget, when Vybz Kartel's phone was removed from the evidence room and brought home by a police officer, I still haven't heard anybody mention him, brought home by a police officer, and then a lot of information from that phone started being leaked into the public. That police officer lied and said all he did was made 1 phone call, but the time frame of the release of those pieces of information out into the public shows us that they were leaked around the time that police officer had the phone. That's a whole nother story. Again, this prosecution, they are fighting to answer legitimate questions that the 3 panel judges are asking them at the appeals. Court of Appeals says that the prosecution must explain how evidence from the initial murder trial of Vybz Kartel and his co-accused made its way into the public domain. This could also prove to them, could there be a fair trial? Could there possibly be a fair trial? Okay, explain to me how evidence from the first trial made its way into the public domain. This is guarded information that could not have made its way out there without somebody from the inside putting it out there. Justice Marvin McDonald Bishop, who is the lead judge of the 3 who will decide whether a retrial will occur, asked how exhibits in the original trial became public. I'm waiting for the answer for that too, because I truly want to hear what they have to say. Justice McDonald Bishop pointed at voice notes, videos, voices from the original trial that have been widely circulated, if you didn't know. They blame Vybz Kartel for everything. I guess they're going to say that he had his people on the inside who he paid to set this up as well, right? Because that's all they ever do. The justice said that she had a very real concern about the leak of evidence and how that may affect a retrial. This makes me happy because the judge is pretending to care. Well, I hope the judge is not pretending to care, but I'm being a bit sarcastic because I've trusted these people before to do the right thing, and we all saw what the outcome was, right? So, again, the justice, she asked, and she said she has a real concern about leak of evidence and how that may affect a retrial. Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Yannick Forbes, argued that the evidence was disclosed to all parties in the matter. In other words, what she is saying is everybody had access to all those evidence, not just the prosecution, but the defense also. So maybe it was Kartel's own lawyers who could have put it out there. We don't know how it went out there. Oh man, I told you. Well, he said that while he was not lying, while he was not laying blame on any side, that there are many ways that the evidence could have leaked. During the trial, voice notes of conversations said to be with Vybz Kartel were sensationally revealed by Nationwide News. Sensationally revealed. The sensationalization of a story usually embellishes the story in a manner, like I've told my audience before. If you want to see people get a lot of likes and clicks and views, just lie. For instance, one guy went to hold up a grocery store. He shot the grocery store owner in the leg and made off with $100,000. If another person takes that story and says that one guy went to go rob a grocery store, he shot the grocery store owner in the face, there was blood everywhere, I've never seen gunshots split somebody's head in two halves, it was messy, he made off with $1 million in cash. You understand? The embellishment of that story, the sensationalization of a story, the manner in which it is released. So it's like a lot of truth mixed with some lies, or mixed with some misinformation, and then now the public has it and cannot separate the misinformation from the facts. This is a real concern. Now, in the meantime, Deputy DPP Forbes attempted to argue that a potential retrial would not be prejudiced by the public discourse around the initial case and the public reveal of the evidence. This must be some young lawyer, because there's no way that the public gets a hold of such piece of information and then decides, okay, I have no feelings towards this. Everybody has a feeling towards this. This is such a high-profile case that has gone on for so long, with so much of the details leaked to the public and so much made-up stories to go along with it has circulated for so long, that there is a large population of people out here who could be potential jurors on this case, and even the other people involved could be looking at this case from a biased view because of how widely publicized and how much time it has given or taken and been out in the public space, right? Justice McDonald Bishop stressed how many radio stations, how many social media platforms, and other forms of media have already picked up and carried the evidence. Exactly. And not only did they carry the evidence, these social media platforms and other forms of media have picked up carried the evidence, twisted the evidence to suit themselves, sensationalized the evidence for likes and views, not just giving you the raw truth about what was and what is. And that, my friend, is dangerous. Yesterday was a rough day in court for prosecution in Vybz Kartel retrial hearing. The Court of Appeals had warned that it will not send the murder case involving Vybz Kartel back and the three accused back to retrial unless the state can prove that all the original witnesses are available to testify. Now, this is huge among all the other things I have said so far. The Court of Appeal has warned that it will not send the murder case involving Vybz Kartel and his three co-accused back to retrial unless the state can prove that all the original witnesses are available to testify. Okay, now let's get into this. It was one of the several declarations, grim declarations, by the way, on what was a rough day in court for the prosecutions, according to Nationwide Radio JM, as it opened its argument in favor of retrial. This is the prosecution, right? Now, Acting Director of Public Prosecution, again, Claudette Thompson. Boy, them a cuss Claudette Thompson, you know. I see a lot of people who really don't like Vybz Kartel, the people who leave comments like, him fit on in there, him fit dead and rotten in there. Yeah, those kind of people. I see them now turning on Claudette Thompson, who is the Acting Director of Public Prosecution, who has taken the place of Paula Llewellyn. Where is Paula when you need her? Somebody get this dunce woman out of there, please. She has no intelligence. The comments are wicked. But we'll go along with what's being said. So, Acting Director of Public Prosecution Claudette Thompson, she faced tough questions related to the cost of a retrial, the availability of witnesses, and the risk of resubjecting these men to a prejudicial process. I'm loving this process. The only thing I don't like about this process is that I feel like Jamaica should be in the new times. Did you see how the Privy Council handled the hearing? And the Privy Council made sure that it was televised for the world to see. That means we're not doing anything behind the scenes, as in coercing or being in cahoots with the wrong decision. You will be able to see and hear everything that's said. I think Jamaica should have done this at the appeal level where it's at now. But that's not what we have. So we have to work off secondhand information that's given to us by credible sources like Nationwide Radio JM and others who at least have some level of credibility and can get the information out from these behind the door scenes. So, again, Acting Director of Public Prosecution, Claudette Thompson, she faced these tough questions. And I'm glad that the three-panel judges are asking these tough questions. It is relating to the cost of the retrial. Who's going to pay for that? King Charles already said that the Jamaica government is going to have to reimburse Vybz Kartel and pay that tab for the first round of his whole Privy Council fiasco, which ended in a quashed verdict. He won that. So who's going to pay for this round now? That's what they're asking. The next one is the availability of witnesses. Where are the witnesses? Do y'all still have the same witnesses lined up again who are ready to go, who can say, hey, same thing I said before, same thing I'm saying now? And the next one is the risk of resubjecting these men to a prejudicial process. We already know the process was highly prejudiced. Why would you want to resubject them to a highly prejudicial process? The Acting Director of Public Prosecution had barely got to her feet when it became clear on Thursday that Thursday would not be an easy day in court for her because the judge was not playing games. But check it. I think that sometimes these judges just act like that and then they come and thump you in the mouth anyways. They act like they are having the prosecution under pressure. So you're saying to yourself, okay, boom, they see something wrong. They're on the side of granting a release of Vybz Kartel and the rest of the guys, or they're going to acquit this case and throw it out. And then they come back later and might order a retrial and leave you baffled because of the cahoots that they are in behind the scenes. I don't hide and talk it. Y'all know I said I am all for freedom and I'm waiting for the freedom, but the only way it can happen is if these judges are not corrupted. I've said that plain and clear, and I'm saying it again, right? So Claudia Thompson told the judges, of the seriousness of the crime and the murder, that it demanded order for a retrial. She pointed out that the crime was allegedly committed over an illegal gun and that the victim's body was never found. The senior prosecutor maintained that justice must be done, but justice must be done both ways. So while we are worried about subjecting these men to a possibly prejudicial process, we also have to be worried about bringing justice to Clive Lizard Williams' family as well. But Justice McDonald Bishop just simply wanted to know the exact cost of justice in the cartel matter. So the judge was like, listen, this is not where we come to decide guilty or innocent. I just want to know how much this is going to cost and who is going to pay that cost. The senior jurist reportedly and repeatedly pressed the prosecution. Now, this is not a good thing. If the judge is pressing you and saying, look, stick to what I'm asking you. You're all over the place. I'm not here to talk about why the murder was committed and what the gun was taken and or a patty was taken or his two butcher knife was taken. This is not what we're here for. I'm asking you the cost of the case and who is going to be paying that cost. So whether the expense is going to be to the state and the burden is going to be on the Jamaican people. And of course, the acting DPP answered and said Jamaica would be prepared to bear that burden. So Jamaica is just going to have to bear the burden. The acting DPP responded that the state would just have to foot the bill. That don't sit too right with those judges. Now, clearly, unconvinced, Judge Bishop Donald responded and said, that's a novel interpretation of that factor, but I'll leave it right there. I'll leave that alone. You can't just say, well, the state would have to just foot the bill. Y'all already have one other bill to foot from them going to Privy Council already. Has that bill been footed yet? The judge pressed on. The law is really, if one case is going to deplete our resources, that's what the judge said to her. The judge is saying, listen, this is not me making this up. This is the law. The law is really, if one case is going to deplete our resources, time, money, humans, that's what the case law says. We have to consider, do we really put our economy through that? In other words, people, it has become a serious expense, not only to Vybz Kartel, who's fighting for his freedom, but to the Jamaican government, who is seeking to keep him behind bars. This looks like it's come down to a matter of resources. Can you fight long enough to outspend them till they get tired of spending? Then they say, okay, you can go. The acting DPP responded and said, I don't know if we can actually put a fixed cost on justice. And then the judge, Justice McDonald Bishop, answered her back and says, that's a requirement of the law. That's being schooled right there. But we're not going to use the school language anymore. She eventually urged the acting DPP. She said, use your time wisely, conceding that she was not pursuing the judges on the point of cost. She was not persuading the judges on the point of cost. The senior prosecutor responded and said, "Very well, my lady, I will not labor the point." In other words, I won't keep beating a dead horse, right? I see I'm not going to convince you on this one, so I'm done. Imagine the judge telling you, use your time wisely. Up here, come talk in front of me, use your time wisely. But she maintained that murder must be treated with seriousness. She told the court not to forget the murder, why it was done, and what happened after. The senior prosecutor did not fare much better when the matter of the timeline for a retrial was raised. So now the judge is asking, okay, so if a retrial is granted, how soon? Because you guys have already violated these guys' constitutional rights, dragged their case out way beyond, and they've been behind bars for over a dozen years already, right? Now with a quashed conviction. So if a retrial is granted, how long will it take for you to bring this to court? Justice McDonald Bishop pressed the prosecutors whether she agrees that a retrial date is uncertain. Do you agree that a retrial date is uncertain? The prosecutor, the DPP, answered, "Yes, my lady." The prosecutor could only offer 2025 as her best estimate of a timeline for Vybz Kartel to be retried. 2025, that's it. Now, I'm asking, there are people who have been charged with murder in Jamaica right now, fully charged with murder, who have also been released on bail under conditions, and they are waiting for their day in court to be found innocent or guilty or whatever the case may be. And some of them have been waiting for years. So do we just skip the line and just go straight to Vybz Kartel? This is the injustice in the system that John Clark was speaking about. In order to push this case forward and have it tried in 2025, you would have to do a disservice to many other Jamaicans who are in similar situations awaiting their case to be called up. Their life is on hold until they get their day in court. Justice McDonald Bishop, the judge, declared that the Vybz Kartel case has placed a microscope on what she described as a systemic problem in Jamaica's judicial system. She says that those problems may come to bite us somewhere along the way. Which means she's very well aware of some of the flaws that have been taking place and how exposed they are now, because she used the word placed a microscope on what she described as a systemic problem or systemic problems in Jamaica's judicial system. So I would say to Justice McDonald Bishop today that you have the power in your hands right now to actually do some justice and restore some people's faith in this flawed and messed up justice system, because we're not all stupid or slow out here. We might not have law degrees. We might not be judges. We might not be privy to some of the knowledge you have concerning the law, but we all see what is going on and has been going on for a while. Even you yourself call it systemic problems, meaning problems within the system, in Jamaica's justice system, judicial system. You have the chance right now to make things a little better, and let's hope she does so. But the fact that she brought it up in court and said it to the DPP, that kind of has me feeling like, they might actually acquit this case altogether, Remember, the appeal court made a grave decision in Vybz Kartel's case, the original case. And it went to Privy Council, and it had to go through them to get to Privy Council. And the same case that they quashed at Privy Council was the same case that this same appeal court decided to uphold the conviction. So they have to right their wrongs. But again, I don't trust these people. Now, Justice McDonald Bishop also warned the prosecution that the Court of Appeals would not be sending this case back for a retrial unless the state can prove that all of the witnesses who they used in the first trial are available. Listen to my words. All of the witnesses who they used in the first trial are available. All, not some, all. Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Jeremy Taylor now, who was the lead prosecutor in the original trial, has submitted an affidavit swearing that most of the original witnesses are available. Remember I told people before that Paula Llewellyn was not the lead prosecutor? Well, here you have the information today. The lead prosecutor in Vybz Kartel's original trial was Jeremy Taylor. He is Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions today. And he was the lead prosecutor in the original trial. He has submitted an affidavit swearing that most of the original witnesses are available. Well, here's the problem. The appeal court says, Judge Justice Bishop said all of the witnesses need to be available. He comes up and says some of them are available. Do you see the problem there? In order for us to send this back to retrial, all of the original witnesses need to be available. Prosecution comes and says, well, some of them are available. What do y'all think is going to happen next? But Justice McDonald Bishop pointed out that there was no evidence that Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecution Jeremy Taylor had spoken to any of these witnesses that he claims is available, nor was it clear that he had been in touch with all of them. Y'all see where this is heading? The justice pointed out that simply providing a list of witnesses to the courts by itself, it does not cut it. We can't send a case when we know that you are running down witnesses over there, says Justice McDonald Bishop. The prosecution is supposed to continue in its arguments at 9:30 this morning, the 14th of the 6th month of the year. And then today, later on, we will hear exactly what their decision is. Will there be a retrial or will there be an acquittal? I'm kind of liking how this Justice McDonald Bishop is being very thorough and is being very realistic and is asking some serious questions that we've been asking and saying for years. We've already said that this case cannot stand again. It has no legs to stand on. We've given these points on our own. And remember, we're not trained attorneys. This is us as intelligent human beings following this case closely and seeing all the inconsistencies. So now to hear a highly learned individual like Justice McDonald Bishop address all these points and issues, it gives a glimmer of hope. Let me close this video by saying this. The only way there is no freedom, the only way there is no acquittal is if the same appeal courts has put some biased judges who are in cahoots with the team who their mission is to keep those guys behind bars. And they will have to bend the law in their direction to do it. And they will have to violate some rights to do it. But we've seen them do it before, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. If, and only if, this 3-panel judges this time around are honest and they have the best interest of all parties at heart, then there should be an acquittal and these guys should be freed. Probably immediately. We'll see how this goes. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. And I'll catch you on the next video. Have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday. I think this is our last day where we have to deal with not having sound for our live videos and all that. We are traveling, we're in transition, but we'll be back soon with a whole heap of video clips and a whole heap of stories and all these other things, back in our element and back having a joyous time. Stay tuned. And remember, there will be one $100 giveaway and a $100 giveaway coming up shortly on the channel, but in order to be a part of it, or have a chance of winning, you have to be a member on SouFLoTV with your name in green. I'll leave this video right here. Walk good. Soon talk. I'm out. Peace.